Okay, so for today's video, I want to pop a quick one out there about my trip to Greece. So I did do a very short, it was like 2 or 3 minute video from Greece, just saying how crap it was. And now I've come back, I want to collect my thoughts and perhaps articulate what I meant a little bit better. I still hold my statement. Greece on the whole is probably very nice. Athens is crap. And here's why. So basically, you walk through Athens in 2025 right now, and you'll see walls coated with slogans. You'll see pipes on buildings that are broken with just kind of stuff hanging out of them, foliage, goop, all sorts. It's horrible. Basically, there's desperation and deprivation absolutely everywhere. So why is this city, the city that is the forefather of democracy and parliament and law, the mother of language and learning and education, why is it so shot? Well, the story's not very simple. It was never going to be. It's structural and it's historical, and also obviously it's deeply political, unavoidable. But the landscape that I witnessed in 2025, a mere week ago, was widespread graffiti across everything except the heritage sites. So you've got the Acropolis Museum, which is just off an area called Monastiraki Market. It's like a big flea market. So that area is kind of okay. Then you've got, I think it's called the Parthenon, which is the hill. And then the Acropolis sits on top of the Parthenon, and that's the kind of broken temple with the pillars. So that area, no graffiti. Obviously, it's deeply touristy. They probably go out of their way to maintain it. If there is graffiti, I'd imagine they probably remove it almost on a daily basis. Also, though, further up the hill towards the Acropolis, you have got the army marching around, driving around in jeeps. They're protecting it. Who would dare, kind of thing. So the heritage sites have escaped this. However, the neighbourhoods, the transport hubs, metro, bus stations, all of the suburbs, awful, absolutely bloody awful. So not only the graffiti is a blip on what I saw. Visible narcotics use, open air use, literally people huddled round tinfoil, old ladies, and I mean old ladies, huddled round tinfoil, doing what people do off tinfoil. Discarded syringes in doorways, and these aren't just on side streets. I did walk down some side streets as shortcuts to get to other areas, and it literally looked like somebody had just dumped a sharps bin, like 50 plus needles in the doorway, needles strewn all about the pavement, and me and my missus are just walking through it, kind of hopscotching through pavements and roads, trying to avoid stepping on needles. It really was genuinely that bad. All of the districts that I went to, apart from one, felt absolutely deprived. The one that I went to that wasn't deprived, and I didn't see all of it, I saw the beach and a few of the shops, was a place called Gildafa, which is about, I guess, maybe 5-6 miles outside of Athens, not very far. It's like a kind of 20-30 minute metro ride. And that was very nice. It reminded me actually of the beaches back home. The water just looked a lot nicer, and the temperature was a lot nicer as well. But the beaches were very clean. There was no litter, not even cigarette butts. So a lot of effort had gone into maintaining that. And to be fair, that day trip to that suburb of Athens, or that area, that brought back the kind of mirth that I'd felt for the rest of my holiday there. So that one day, and my visit to the Acropolis, which I'd wanted to see forever, that made the entire holiday feel like it was not a loss. The rest of Athens, largely forgettable. And you can see it in the people that you speak to there as well. I was speaking to business owners, small business owners, a lot of them in like leather shops, tech shops. A lot of them were store assistants or in hospitality, taxi drivers, that type of thing. And they've said that a lot of the graffiti, it's not always been there. It's been worse since they've been letting people in. Now, it's not people from any one particular area. I can't blame it on people from this country, from that country, from whatever. It's just people coming into Greece from other areas of Europe and the Middle East, and then treating it like a toilet. And that's largely what's done it. And it upsets the locals. You can see it when you speak to them. You feel it when you talk to them. There is a lot of public frustration there. Locals and tourists alike complain about the safety, about the cleanliness, about the visible decay. And, you know, I went there to see decay. I went there to see something that was, what, 2,500 years old. But I didn't expect the city around it to be so absolutely ruined, and it really is ruined. So there are historical and structural roots, from what I gather, that have caused this. You've got decades of political and social instability in Greece. Obviously, it collapsed in 2008. You know, that was a crisis. Recession hit, unemployment skyrocketed. Greece was effectively bankrupt at that point. They, like the UK, they've had government cuts to social services. They've had a lack of urban maintenance. They've had a cut in policing budgets. And all of this has messed everything up. It's meant that there are fewer police. And in Greece, it's much the same as Spain. They've got a official Greece police force, then they've got a municipal police force. And it's the same in Barcelona. You've got maybe 3 types of police. You've got the Mossos d'Esquerda, you've got the police, you've got the Guardia Civil, I think they're called. So you've got very much the same thing going on there, but they're all underfunded. And because of this, the army are now patrolling some of the historical sites to make up for the lack of policing, which is good, but should it need to happen? You know, it shouldn't. So you've got rising homelessness as well, and poverty that comes with it. They're part and parcel. There should be no homeless. In my area, maybe 40, 50,000 population, we've got about 70 or 80 homeless at any one point. It's too many. There shouldn't be any. In Greece, there are hundreds, and I mean absolutely hundreds. Every single side road, main roads. You walk through Greece after 6 o'clock at night, this time of year, it all gets a bit dark. They don't even turn the bloody streetlights on. There are no streetlights. You've got light from shop windows illuminating 4-lane main roads. That's what you've got. And when those shops go dark, 9, 10 o'clock, it's just car headlights coming at you down the road. There was no street lighting. It's the weirdest thing. But also at that time, the homeless take their spots, and you'll walk from the flea market, Monastiraki flea market, up through a road called Ermu, which is the posh, if there is a thing, posh shopping district. You've got the likes of the Attica department store. You've got Ferragamo clothing and kind of all the rest of it. People just sleeping in doorways. Every doorway has a person in it. That's their spot. That's their perch. You know, and these are people that are on survival behaviour. And you feel bad. You really do feel bad. You've got weak enforcement versus legal inconsistencies. So things like graffiti, it's often just tolerated now because they can't possibly whitewash or remove the graffiti as fast as it's going up. And it's from gangs that have come over, as far as I've been told, from cabbies and the like. A lot of it is from gangs that have come over, made Greece their home, and they just treat it like the toilet that they came from. Go figure. So Greece is insufficiently policed. Drug laws do exist, but enforcement is sketchy. You know, most people basically get away with murder over there. Unless it's very, very serious, the police just don't have the manpower to intervene. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So you've got cultural dimensions, things like protest art, political messaging, anti-establishment voices. All of these are often expressed via graffiti in many cities, London included. But I'd never seen it before on the scale that I'd seen in Greece. And I'm not even joking. I've actually got a video. I might put the video up of me walking through the flea market in the morning. And it's the morning. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning on my way to the Acropolis. It's about half a mile away from it. I walk through it and I record it. And there's just water dripping everywhere off broken pipes, coming down off roofs. On either side of me, you've got the shops that have got their shutters down. All of the shutters everywhere. It's just pure graffiti. There is no area that's not graffitied. And then later on in the day, I went back and I did the same journey, walking through with the shutters up. And it's just horrible because you can see that the shop owners take pride in their shops. It's their livelihood. And then you just get peaks of this horrible graffiti in amongst these lovely shops. And it really does let it down. It lets it down massively. Now, graffiti's not enough to mar a holiday. I'm not that wet where I see a bit of graffiti and I'm like, ooh, offended. But it wasn't what I expected from something that has got the cultural heritage that Athens has got. And I feel that it was a massive letdown. Just a letdown. I wasn't upset. I was just disappointed. There have been catalysts to this, obviously, in recent years. As I've said, cabbies have told me the lowdown. They've basically said that migration, refugee flows, all of these things layer pressure on urban services like welfare and police, same as we've got in the UK. Things like pandemic lockdowns, all of this disrupted social support systems, and that caused mental health spikes, meaning people lost their jobs, lost their ability to work, lost their capacity to function, ended up turning to drugs and ended up being homeless. It's a cycle of neglect. When city budgets get squeezed, things like maintenance and social programs, they get axed. They're the first things to go, of course they are. You've got things like gentrification attempts that spark resistance, and then graffiti turns up on it as a counter-narrative. So they've tried to develop areas outside of Athens. They've tried to do new builds, to make them better. People just come along and trash it because it's seen as a stab at the establishment, trying to move posh people there. It doesn't make any sense. In a rational world, it doesn't make any sense that something nice goes up, people go over and they try and destroy it. It makes no sense whatsoever. But that's what's happened. You've got the role of open drug markets. I mean, once a neighbourhood tolerates low-level use, once it becomes the social acceptance, the norm, then it becomes normal for other districts, and then it spreads. It's like germs in a petri dish. And they've not got the resources to beat it. Apart from all of the systemic failures, the underfunded police, you've also got corruption in local government. All of these things permit impunity. You've got a lack of mental health support, harm reduction and addiction treatments, inadequate urban regeneration, lack of social inclusion, tension between preserving the ancient heritage that has been massively important to Greece and its culture for thousands of years, versus letting them degrade in margins. And that's kind of what's happened. The only thing left that's not been messed with in Athens literally is the Acropolis. So what can be done? Well, probably not a lot. I mean, the outlook isn't good. From the business owners that I spoke to over there, they'd like to see stronger community policing. They'd like to see harm reduction approaches, things like safe injection sites, places where people can go to take their narcotics and, if needs be, get medical attention, things like outreach programs, investment in social housing, investment in mental health, investment in job programs, in upskilling people. But the reality is that Greece doesn't have the money coming in to do it. The people that I spoke to there, their wages, the average wage for an average person, median income in Greece, is about €1,000 a month. €1,000 a month. That's about £850 a month. That's crazy. And they do have a social system. I found out they do have a sort of welfare state, if you like. But do you know what pension payout is in Greece? Pension payout in Greece is €400 a month. €400. So that's approximately £350. That's what they live on. So is it any wonder that my holiday was crap? I'd basically gone to a third world country and not realised it. I was under the impression that Greece was civilized Europe, and I was under the impression that Athens, being the kind of capital city of Greece, was the most civilized part of Greece. Couldn't be further from the truth. Now, I'm sure it's not the same for the Greek islands, and I know there are some beautiful islands out there, but let's face it, I didn't go there. I went to Athens, so I can only comment on Athens. So Athens isn't collapsing out of chaos. I need to make that clear. It's basically unraveling because there are too many pressures hitting it all at once. A bit like what we're seeing in the UK right now. The graffiti and the open air narcotics use, those are just symptoms of it. They're not the disease. They are just symptoms of what's going on there. So have you witnessed this? Do you live in a city in the UK abroad that's decaying right now in plain sight? Drop it in the comments. Really keen to find out. I'm really keen to find out where not to holiday next. My next holiday is in fact going to be in Vietnam, so really excited about that one. My expectations are super high, so hopefully I'm not setting myself up for a fall. But I want to basically map this crisis globally. So I'm going to get into a relationship with my passport probably next year, and I'm going to start trying to take loads of city breaks to different cities, starting with Europe, and then go further afield. And I want to just see what's happening, what the economy's like. And I will do some proper videos over there. I won't just do a 3-minute video saying this is crap, that's crap. I'll do some videos, try and get some interviews with people as well, and make it a bit interesting. But yeah, anyway, there you go. YouTube is going to put another video there. Like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, all that jazz. Another one tomorrow. Goldman, peace out.